I was thinking the other day, and I don't know why this popped up in my head, about a job I had in Malaysia back in 2000.
Okay, yeah.
You know, when I was running bars,
Yeah.
spending most of my life so drunk. So drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I loved the bar scene in London because it was like living in a little village and everyone knew each other in this big, big, scary city, and we just had the best time. And then I got headhunted to go out and run a bar in KL.
Yeah.
And it was working for a Chinese company, and obviously it was like waking up in Blade Runner the day I got there. It was like, woo! So strange. And I watched Fight Club when I had jet lag at 5 o'clock in the morning on my own in my apartment, and just really had an existential crisis. But the job itself absolutely floored me.
Oh, okay.
Because they didn't give me booze to sell.
You're running a bar.
Yeah, I know, it sounds so stupid, doesn't it? Like, you can't sell it if it's not there. So it was this big corporate company. I'd never worked in corporate before until that point. And what would happen is they would import foreign booze, and there was such high duty on it that it would always end up in bonded warehouse waiting for the duty to be paid on it. And the company didn't pay the duty. Now, this was a big company. They had like 13 bars and restaurants. Like, we weren't a small thing.
Yeah, okay.
And I just used to get so stressed because I'd have customers coming to the bar and we'd have no vodka, we'd have no gin. You know, this was a big shiny bar right in the middle of Bukit Bintang, which is like the main drag through KL. Yeah. And there was me, my first like managerial role. And I crashed, basically. And every week I would be dragged into head office to talk about the beverage figures. And I would just, on the one hand, just, what am I going to say? There aren't any. I haven't made decent sales.
How can you do anything if you haven't got the booze to sell?
Exactly. But now, me, 20 years later, looking back at that time, I had one of those like, bag of dicks to the forehead moments. Like, why was I so stressed when I couldn't change that? And it made me think, like, right, this has come up for me for a reason. Where is that happening again? If I'm remembering that time, and remember, life is understood in hindsight most of the time, which I don't think is very fair. But at the same time, like, where am I taking on stress about things I cannot change?
We all do it though, don't we? I mean, because we create stories and we feel responsible.
Yeah, I did.
You know, for things that are completely out of our control.
Yeah.
Rather than just like, well, that's not mine to own.
Yeah.
It's like taking
it on. I get angry when I think about it. It's like, I could have just had a nice time, not stressing and being paid to basically sell nothing.
Yeah.
What a great life. I'm getting paid to do nothing. But
I know, but you get caught up, don't you, in the...
I wanted to do a good job.
Yeah, of course.
And I couldn't.
And also, I guess there was that expectation from them that you're going to do
a
good job.
Yeah.
And so you get caught up in that, and then, as you say, it creates stress.
Totally.
Wow. So it's a good one, isn't it, to sort of sit back and think, what things are causing me stress?
Yeah. And do I actually have any control over it? Because I think a lot of time, people are very good at offloading their stress onto others, and it's not their place to do that. And it's not your place to take it on. But I also think this is one of the biggest drains that I see in our clients and in people in general.
Yeah, oh my God. I'm so glad you said that, because I was thinking about that as well. You know, we always reflect, don't we, on people that we're working with and conversations that we've had. And it was really interesting. Again, it's that thing of people drain us. We've, not in a bad way, but we've all got that. Had a friend where they come and they offload on you, and you sort of think,
yeah.
And it's, I'm sure I've taken that role over the years.
Everyone does.
We do, don't we?
Yeah, we need to sometimes, don't we?
A client was saying to me, quite aggressively about how one of their siblings was restraining them, and they were then feeling angry towards their sibling. But actually, I always like to sort of turn things around, turn them on their head. If you think of it, I was saying to them that they were allowing it. And I know that's quite annoying to hear that.
Triggering as hell, but
nobody wants to hear
if
that.
you're triggered by something, that's what you need to look at.
Yeah, that's right. But although, the sibling was actually draining them, offloading all of their woes and stuff on them, the client was actually allowing that to happen rather than upholding their boundaries. Or even sometimes, it is a nice thing to let people to offload.
Yeah.
But then, don't then sort of get angry at that person.
To a point and have a little one step removed from it. What ratio do you reckon in life we allow others to take? Either take the decision-making process to guide our lives, like where you live, where you work, what you do, how you're going to do it.
It's a hugely high percentage. I think most of us wouldn't want to admit to it. But
no.
Yeah, definitely. It's all these things that we, it's all, there's so much to it. And again, we talk a lot about conditioning, isn't it? But we're always taught to be nice, to be helpful, and all those good things, which are, great virtues. I'm not saying that they're not, but take them too far.
But not to the expense of you.
Yeah, and
your energy.
And that, I think that's the bit that gets unsaid is like, if you don't do that, you're a bad person. That's the join the dots.
That's when the guilt
in a really negative way,
isn't it?
Guilt and blame.
A lot of people can feel really guilty that they haven't been a good enough friend because they haven't managed to solve somebody else's problems.
Oh gosh.
And yet
we can
only ever solve our own problems, really.
You see it playing out again and again. There's so much of the stress and anxiety that people come to us with is because they're taking on everybody else's shit.
I think it happens most obviously in the workplace,
also
in teams and in your birth family. I think it happens more there. I think when it comes to your own intimate partners and your own family, it's more subtle if it's happening. Like, if you're not in a very good relationship, you're not being supported. But I think it's harder to pick apart in your birth family.
Oh gosh, so much so. But because that's all you've ever known. That's from the moment you're born, you're in that dynamic.
Yeah. That's your normal. You can't see the wood for the trees. And isn't it horrific what can become normal off the back of it?
And then you play it forward, don't you, in terms of your future relationships, the way that you are at work. And it just snowballs, really, doesn't it? So again, it's like just taking a moment, isn't it, to think. What am I allowing to happen?
There is such power for people in actually just giving themselves a damn break and stepping back and observing. I think it helps to write it down because then it cuts the crap out in your brain where you're starting to try and justify it, start to try and validate what's happening. Just to almost write it down in the third person on paper will give you clarity, and you can then go in with a red pen and go, right, that's not good. That's not good. Like, if I was to hear this story from somebody else that I cared about, how would I view it?
Yeah, that's right. I think,
because, we don't do stuff for ourselves that we give to other people.
We need to be our own friends, don't we?
Yeah, and that's easier said than done sometimes.
I like that writing down thing. Obviously, we're huge advocates of that because it kind of gets it clear in your own head.
Yeah.
And like you say, try and see it as almost as if somebody else was talking to you. But also, play it right through because I think I've talked about this before, 3/4 conversations that we have in our own head. If you actually say, well, if I don't do that, what is actually going to happen? Is the world going to stop spinning?
Is anyone going to die?
Am I going to get struck down by being the devil incarnate? No. You probably, you can almost laugh at yourself.
But that's rumination, isn't it? That's where your dickhead brain kicks in and starts filling in the gaps to your knowledge. And usually your brain will go to the most negative scenario by way of preparing you for every eventual shitty outcome.
That's why it's great to write it down.
Yeah, absolutely, because then it becomes something else. It's not you. You can get that one step removed from the emotional aspect of that and just see it for what it is.
Yeah,
and I think that's good. It's good for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah. So let's all grab some paper and
oh my God.
It just helps clear the clutter in your brain, doesn't it? And relieve that stress. And just stop things being a drain.
Stop allowing people to drain you.
Yeah.
It's a nice thought.